Serendipitous beginnings. The autumn rain drummed against the windows of fabled pages, the kind of Scottish downpour that seemed determined to wash away summer's final traces. Imogen Foster pushed a strand of copper hair behind her ear as she arranged a display of new releases, her fingers lingering on a children's book with watercolor illustrations that made her heart ache with longing. "Mummy, look what I drew." 5-year-old Lily bounded toward her, waving a paper covered in swirls of color. Her dark curls bounced with each step, a stark contrast to Imogen's auburn waves, a reminder of the father who'd decided family life wasn't for him. "It's beautiful. Sweet pea." Imogen crouched down, examining the drawing of what appeared to be a dragon having tea with a princess. "Is this for your story?" Lily nodded enthusiastically. "The princess isn't scared of the dragon because she knows he's just lonely." Mr. Finch, the elderly bookshop owner, chuckled from behind the counter. "That one has your imagination, Imogen. Just like her mother." Imogen smiled, though her eyes reflected a quiet resignation. At 32, her dreams of becoming a published illustrator had taken a back seat to the practicalities of single motherhood. Her evening classes in digital illustration and the late-night sketching after Lily fell asleep were investments in a future that sometimes felt like a fading watercolor. The bell above the door chimed, and a gust of wind ushered in a tall man whose presence immediately commanded attention. Droplets of rain clung to his dark wool coat, and his eyes, a startling shade of gray, surveyed the shop with a mixture of nostalgia and wariness. Mr. Finch dropped the book he was holding. "Dominic Archer! Good heavens, is that really you?" The stranger's serious expression softened. "Mr. Finch, still surrounded by stories, I see. And you're still making headlines. Edinburgh's prodigal son returns. The papers have been buzzing since your company announced the new tech hub." Imogen observed the exchange with curiosity. The name sounded vaguely familiar, something about a software empire and billions in net worth. But the man before her seemed oddly vulnerable, like someone returning to a childhood home they've outgrown. "Mummy, who's that?" Lily whispered too loudly, tugging at Imogen's sleeve. Dominic's attention shifted to them, his gaze warming as it met Lily's inquisitive brown eyes. "Hello there. I'm Dominic," he said, his voice gentler than one might expect from someone who commanded boardrooms. "I'm Lily, and I'm 5 3/4, she announced proudly. "Do you like dragons?" A genuine smile transformed his face. "I've always been partial to dragons, especially the misunderstood ones. See, Mummy? Just like in my story." Lily turned to Imogen with vindication. Imogen extended her hand. "Imogen Foster. I help Mr. Finch on weekends." "And creates the most magical illustrations during the week," Mr. Finch added, ignoring Imogen's embarrassed look. "You should see her work, Dominic. Reminds me of those books your mother used to read you." Something flickered in Dominic's eyes. Recognition, perhaps, or a memory. He shook Imogen's hand, his touch lingering just long enough to send an unexpected warmth up her arm. "I'm looking for something specific," Dominic said, seemingly collecting himself. "A first edition of The Little Prince. It was my mother's favorite." "For the woman who taught you stars could sing," Mr. Finch said softly. Dominic nodded, a flash of raw emotion crossing his face before disappearing behind careful composure. "We received one last month," Imogen said, moving toward the rare books section. "It's been waiting for the right person." As she led him through the labyrinth of bookshelves, she noticed how he seemed both at home among the books and distinctly out of place in his bespoke suit, a man straddling two worlds. "Your daughter is charming," he commented. "She's my universe," Imogen replied simply. "And her father?" Imogen hesitated. Decided parenthood wasn't in his 5-year plan. Or any plan. Dominic's expression darkened momentarily. His loss, clearly. They reached the glass case where the book rested. As Imogen carefully removed it, their fingers brushed again, and for a moment, the bustling bookshop, the rain, and the worlds that separated them seemed to fade away. Neither realized that in this quiet corner, surrounded by stories of adventure and possibility, their own unexpected narrative was just beginning its first chapter. Worlds apart. 3 weeks after their first meeting, Imogen stood in the pristine lobby of Archer Technologies' new Edinburgh headquarters, clutching her portfolio with white knuckles. The modern glass structure seemed worlds away from the cozy confines of fabled pages, its sleek surfaces reflecting the rare Scottish sunshine that had broken through the clouds. "Ms. Foster?" A polished receptionist smiled. "Mr. Archer is ready for you." The elevator ascended silently to the top floor, giving Imogen precious seconds to compose herself. When Dominic had visited the bookshop a second time, and then a third, she'd assumed it was the charm of fabled pages drawing him back, not her company. When he'd asked to see her illustrations, she'd shared them hesitantly. His subsequent offer to discuss a children's app his company was developing had seemed surreal. "This is professional," she whispered to herself, "not personal." The elevator doors opened directly into Dominic's office, a vast space with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Edinburgh Castle. The man himself stood with his back to her, silhouetted against the view, phone pressed to his ear. "I don't care what the board thinks," he said tersely. "I've made my decision." He turned, noticing her, and his expression softened instantly. "I need to go. My meeting's here." He ended the call and crossed the room, extending his hand. "Imogen, thank you for coming." Today, he wore no suit jacket, his crisp white shirt rolled up at the sleeves, revealing strong forearms. The casual display of the tattoo on his wrist, a small constellation, seemed at odds with his billionaire status. "Your office is impressive," she managed, taking in the minimalist decor punctuated by eclectic art pieces. "And terribly impersonal," he admitted with a self-deprecating smile. "Please sit." They settled into a conversation about his company's new educational platform, one designed to make reading interactive for children with learning difficulties. As Imogen shared her ideas, her initial nervousness melted away, replaced by genuine enthusiasm. "My daughter Hazel had dyslexia," Dominic said quietly, surprising Imogen with this personal revelation. "Before she and my wife were killed in the accident, we struggled to find resources that didn't make her feel different from other children." The pain in his voice was raw, even years later. Imogen resisted the urge to reach for his hand. "I'm so sorry," she said softly. "I didn't know. Few people do. The press prefers the story of the cold-hearted tech mogul." His smile didn't reach his eyes. "Your illustrations have the warmth Hazel would have loved. That's why I wanted to meet with you." By the time they'd finished discussing the project, the sun had begun its descent. Dominic insisted on driving her home, dismissing her protests with surprising gentleness. "It's on my way," he lied smoothly, both of them knowing his penthouse was in the opposite direction. As his sleek car wound through Edinburgh's streets, Imogen found herself sharing stories of Lily's latest adventures, of her own childhood in the Highlands, of dreams deferred but not abandoned. Dominic listened with genuine interest, offering glimpses of his own past, a boy who'd once collected rare books and gazed at stars before responsibility and tragedy reshapen his life. When they arrived at her modest flat in Leith, Lily was waiting at the window, bouncing with excitement as Mrs. Campbell, their elderly neighbor who watched her after school, tried in vain to calm her. "Mr. Dragonman," Lily exclaimed as they approached, having decided this was Dominic's proper title after their bookshop meeting. To Imogen's surprise, Dominic crouched down to Lily's level. "Hello, Miss Storyteller. Have you written any new dragon tales?" While they chatted, Mrs. Campbell raised an eyebrow at Imogen, clearly intrigued by the handsome stranger. "Just a work meeting," Imogen whispered, ignoring the knowing look she received in return. "Mummy, can Mr. Dragonman stay for spaghetti?" "I told him it's Tuesday, and Tuesday is spaghetti night." Imogen felt heat rise to her cheeks. "Lily, I'm sure Mr. Archer has important plans." "Actually," Dominic interrupted, "spaghetti sounds perfect. If the invitation stands?" That evening, in Imogen's tiny kitchen with its mismatched chairs and crayon drawings on the refrigerator, something shifted. Dominic rolled up his sleeves further and insisted on helping, moving through the unfamiliar domesticity with awkward determination. When he accidentally splashed sauce on his likely expensive shirt, his laughter, deep and genuine, filled the small space. Later, As he read to Lily before leaving, his voice giving life to characters from her favorite book, Imogen watched from the doorway, an unfamiliar ache building in her chest. "You're good with her," she said as she walked him to his car afterward. "She makes it easy," he replied, his expression thoughtful. "She sees the world as it should be, not as it is." The night air hummed with unspoken possibilities as he hesitated before getting into his car. "The project," he began. "Would you consider taking it on? It would be a 6-month contract, well compensated. The opportunity was tremendous. Financial security, professional recognition." Yet Imogen hesitated, sensing invisible lines being crossed. "I don't want charity, Dominic." His eyes flashed. "This isn't charity. This is me recognizing talent when I see it." He softened. "Think about it. That's all I ask." As his car disappeared around the corner, Imogen hugged herself against the evening chill, wondering if she was standing at the edge of a brilliant opportunity or a beautiful mistake. Shattered perceptions. The Edinburgh Autumn Festival transformed the Royal Mile into a kaleidoscope of color and sound. Imogen watched Lily dart between street performers, her laughter carrying over the crowd. 2 months into the project with Archer Technologies, Imogen had found her rhythm, working remotely most days, visiting the office for weekly meetings that inevitably extended into lunches or early dinners with Dominic. Today was different. Today she'd invited him to join them at the festival, a tentative step toward acknowledging whatever was growing between them. "Imogen." His voice came from behind her, and she turned to find him approaching, casual in jeans and a sweater that probably cost more than her monthly rent. Despite his attempts to blend in, heads turned as people recognized the famous tech entrepreneur. "You came," she said, unable to hide her surprise. "I said I would." His eyes crinkled at the corners as he smiled, then brightened as Lily spotted him and raced over. "Dominic, you have to see the dragon puppets!" Lily grabbed his hand without hesitation, tugging him toward a puppet show. Imogen followed, heart swelling at how naturally he allowed himself to be led by a 5-year-old through the crowded festival. The afternoon unfolded with unexpected joy, candied apples and folk music, Dominic winning a stuffed unicorn at a ring toss that Lily immediately declared was her new best friend. For a few precious hours, they existed in a bubble of normalcy, just another family enjoying the festival, until they weren't. "Mr. Archer, over here!" A photographer's call shattered their moment. "Is this your new family? Care to comment on the rumors?" More cameras appeared, flashes illuminating their startled faces. Dominic's expression hardened instantly, his body tensing as he moved to shield Imogen and Lily. "We need to go," he said tightly, guiding them through the crowd with practiced efficiency. His security detail, men Imogen hadn't even noticed, materialized to clear their path. Back at her flat, Lily's confusion gave way to exhaustion, and she fell asleep clutching her new unicorn. Imogen found Dominic staring out her living room window, phone in hand, his jaw clenched. "I'm sorry," he said without turning. "I should have been more careful." Imogen joined him at the window. "What exactly happened back there?" He showed her his phone screen, a gossip site already running the story. Tech billionaire's secret family? Dominic Archer spotted playing happy families with mystery woman and child. The photo showed the 3 of them laughing together, Dominic looking at Lily with undisguised affection. Out of context, their casual outing did look intimate, familial. "This is my fault," he said, voice tight with controlled anger. "I've exposed you and Lily to this circus." "We're not that fragile, Dominic. You don't understand. They'll dig into your life now. They'll twist everything." His knuckles whitened around the phone. "After Patricia and Hazel died, they printed stories suggesting I'd been driving, that I was responsible. But you weren't." "No, I was in Tokyo. I couldn't even say goodbye." Raw pain flashed across his face. "But truth doesn't sell papers." Imogen reached for his hand, but he pulled away, resuming his pacing. This was a mistake. "I knew better than to—" He stopped abruptly. "Than to what?" she challenged, a cold feeling spreading through her chest. His expression shuddered. "I should never have crossed this line. Professional and personal. They don't mix in my world." "Your world," she repeated slowly. "As opposed to my insignificant one?" That's not what I meant, and you know it. He ran a hand through his hair. People will talk, Imogen. They'll say you're after my money, that I'm using you and Lily to rebuild what I lost. They'll make assumptions about why I hired you. The implication struck her like a physical blow. Is that what you think? That people will assume I slept my way into this contract? Some will, yes. And does that bother you? What people might think. His silence was answer enough. I see. Imogen stepped back. Well, we wouldn't want to tarnish the Archer name with association to a struggling single mother. Heaven forbid people think you're capable of actual human connection. Imogen, I think you should go. She wrapped her arms around herself. We have a professional arrangement. Let's keep it that way, as you suggested. After he left, Imogen sat in the dark, scrolling through the multiplying gossip articles. One headline caught her eye. Archer's latest charity case? Sources reveal struggling artist living in subsidized housing. Tears blurred her vision. Was that how he saw them? A charity case? A replacement for what he'd lost? Worse still, was that how she'd appear to everyone else in his world? For the first time since starting the project, she questioned whether talent alone had earned her this opportunity, or if pity had played a larger role than she wanted to admit. Bridges' built rain pelted against the windows of Archer Technologies as Imogen sat in the conference room, finalizing the app design with the development team. 3 weeks had passed since the festival incident, during which she and Dominic had maintained strictly professional interactions, brief, courteous, and painfully formal. These illustrations are extraordinary, said Javier, the lead developer. The user testing with children has been off the charts. Imogen smiled politely, but her eyes drifted to the empty chair at the head of the table. Dominic had been conspicuously absent from project meetings lately, sending his chief innovation officer in his stead. After the meeting, she found herself lingering in the building's atrium, watching the rain create rivers on the glass ceiling. The project was nearly complete. Soon, she would have no reason to visit these offices, to inhabit this slice of Dominic's world. Miss Foster, she turned to find Rebecca, Dominic's assistant, approaching with an envelope. Mr. Archer asked me to deliver this personally. Rebecca hesitated. He's been in London most of the week, but he returned this morning. Imogen accepted the envelope with a carefully neutral expression. Thank you. Once alone, she opened it to find an invitation to a charity gala supporting children's literacy, along with a handwritten note. Your work deserves recognition. The foundation would be honored to have you there. That evening, as she helped Lily with her bath, Imogen's mind kept returning to the invitation. Why are you making your thinking face, Mummy? Lily asked, blowing soap bubbles from her hands. Just grown-up thoughts, sweet pea. About Dominic? He hasn't come for spaghetti in forever. Lily's matter-of-fact observation hit with unexpected force. Did he go away like Daddy did? Imogen's heart clenched. No, love. He's just been busy with work. Then why don't you go see him? When I miss Benji from school, I just go find him at recess. Out of the mouths of babes, Imogen thought wryly. The next morning, she made a decision. Dropping Lily at school, she drove to the community center in one of Edinburgh's most disadvantaged neighborhoods. The building, once slated for demolition, now housed an after-school program for children with learning disabilities, funded anonymously. According to public records, Elspeth Murray, the center's director, welcomed her warmly. Are you here about the volunteer program, dear? Actually, I'm curious about your benefactor, Imogen admitted. Would that be Archer Technologies by chance? Elspeth's eyes widened slightly. We're not supposed to say, but... She lowered her voice. It's not the company. It's Dominic himself. Been funding us for years. Long before he moved back to Edinburgh. Comes by himself sometimes, reads to the children. Keeps it quiet, though. Says he doesn't want recognition. As Elspeth showed her around, Imogen noticed a wall of children's artwork. In one corner hung a framed drawing labeled My Dragon Friend in a child's handwriting, a man in a business suit with dragon wings, helping a small girl reach for stars. That's Hazel's, Elspeth said softly. Dominic's daughter. She used to come here before... Well, he kept her drawing up all these years. Outside in her car, Imogen sat motionless, pieces falling into place. The charity gala wasn't about publicity or appearances. It was personal for him, deeply so. That afternoon, she drove to Dominic's penthouse, persuading the reluctant doorman to call up. Minutes later, Dominic appeared in the lobby, surprise evident on his tired face. "Imogen, is everything all right? I went to the Murray Center today," she said without preamble. Understanding dawned in his eyes. "I see." "No, I don't think you do." She took a deep breath. "I've been angry because I thought you were ashamed of being seen with me and Lily, that we didn't fit into your world of wealth and influence. That was never—" "Let me finish," she interrupted gently. "I was afraid I was just a replacement for what you lost. But I was wrong, wasn't I? This isn't about replacing them. It's about honoring them." His expression softened with vulnerability she'd rarely seen. "Walk with me?" They strolled through a nearby park, the rain having given way to weak sunshine. Dominic spoke more openly than ever before, about Patricia, his college sweetheart who became his co-founder and wife, about Hazel's struggles and triumphs, about the night a drunk driver took them both while he was halfway across the world. "After they died, I buried myself in work," he admitted. "Built higher walls, bigger companies, more wealth, as if success could fill the void they left. It couldn't. Is that why you came back to Edinburgh?" He nodded. "I needed to face the ghosts. What I didn't expect was to find—" He hesitated. "Find what?" she prompted softly. "Life," he said simply. "In a bookshop of all places. You and Lily, you weren't living in the past or mourning what could have been. You were creating something beautiful from whatever circumstances life gave you." They paused by a stone bridge spanning a small stream. Dominic turned to face her fully. "I'm not good at this, Imogen. Vulnerability terrifies me more than any business risk. But when those photographers appeared, my first thought wasn't for my reputation. It was fear that they would hurt you and Lily." "We're stronger than you think," she reminded him. "I know that now." He reached for her hand tentatively. "The gala invitation. I understand if you don't want to come." Imogen intertwined her fingers with his. "Actually, I was wondering if you'd like to come to dinner tomorrow. It's Wednesday, shepherd's pie night. Lily misses her dragon man." His smile, open and unguarded, was answer enough. Constellations aligned. The Children's Literacy App launch party transformed the Edinburgh National Museum into an enchanted forest, with Imogen's illustrations brought to life through interactive displays. Children darted between stations, their laughter echoing through the usually solemn halls as parents watched in delight. Near the central display, Imogen adjusted Lily's party dress, a midnight blue confection sprinkled with silver stars that matched her own elegant gown. 6 months had passed since that rainy walk in the park, months filled with gradual, careful steps toward building something neither she nor Dominic had dared hope for. "You look beautiful," came Dominic's voice as he approached. Handsome in his tuxedo, but with a whimsical dragon pin on his lapel, Lily's insistence. "Not too shabby yourself, Dragon Man," Imogen teased, smoothing his tie. "Nervous?" he asked. "Terrified," she admitted. But the good kind of terrified. Tonight marked not just the launch of the app, but her official debut as its creator. The press would be there, industry leaders, publishing houses, a world away from her quiet sketches at the kitchen table. "They're going to love you," Dominic said with quiet confidence. "Just as I do." The words hung between them, new yet somehow familiar. They hadn't rushed this fragile thing between them, both too acquainted with loss to take happiness for granted. Lily tugged at Dominic's hand. "Is it time for the surprise yet?" He laughed. "Not quite, little star. After Mummy's speech." As guests arrived, Imogen was introduced as the artistic visionary behind the project. When she took the stage to demonstrate the app, her voice steady and passionate, Dominic watched from the sidelines, pride evident in his expression. "The heart of this project," she concluded, "is the belief that every child deserves to see themselves in stories, especially those who face unique challenges in accessing them." The applause was thunderous. As she stepped down, a publishing executive approached with interest in her illustration portfolio. A tech reviewer praised the app's intuitive design. But the most meaningful moment came when a mother approached with her daughter, a girl with Hazel's same learning challenges. "My daughter hasn't wanted to read in years," the woman said, tears in her eyes. "She's been playing with the beta version for 2 weeks and hasn't put it down." Later, as the formal portion of the evening concluded, Dominic gestured toward a side door. "Ready for that surprise Lily's been bursting to share?" They slipped away from the crowd, up a spiral staircase to the museum's rooftop observatory, closed to the public but opened specially for tonight. The Edinburgh skyline sparkled below them, while above, a rare clear night revealed a canvas of stars. "Oh, Dominic," Imogen breathed. "Look, Mummy!" Lily pointed excitedly to the telescope where an astronomer waited to guide them. "We're going to see the stars that sing." They took turns peering through the telescope, the astronomer pointing out constellations and planets. When it was Imogen's turn, Dominic directed her attention to a particular cluster of stars. "That one," he said softly. Through the lens, she saw a certificate with astronomical coordinates and a name. The Imogen Lily Star Cluster. "You didn't," she whispered, turning to find him watching her with naked emotion. "I did," he admitted. "Registered officially last month. A constellation of stars that found each other against astronomical odds." Lily, growing sleepy despite her excitement, curled up on a nearby bench under a blanket, leaving the adults in a bubble of privacy. "When I lost Patricia and Hazel," Dominic said, his voice low, "I thought my story had ended. I built an empire as a monument to what was gone, never imagining there could be new chapters." He took her hands in his. "These past months with you and Lily, they've taught me that love isn't a limited resource. That honoring the past doesn't mean sacrificing the future." "Are you sure?" Imogen asked, vulnerability threading through her words. "Our worlds are still so different." "Are they?" He gestured toward the stars. "From up here, it all looks like one world to me. Besides," his smile turned mischievous, "Lily has informed me that dragons are adaptable creatures." Imogen laughed softly. "She's quite the authority." "She also told me very seriously that I should ask you an important question." His expression grew tender. "Not about marriage, we have time for that journey. But about building a home together, the three of us, a real home, not just my sterile penthouse or your flat with the leaky faucets. What did you have in mind?" "I bought back my family's old cottage in the Highlands. It needs work, but it has a garden for Lily, a studio with perfect northern light for you, and enough quiet for all of us." Imogen's eyes widened. "The Highlands? But your company can be run from anywhere these days," he finished. "I've spent years prioritizing buildings over people. I won't make that mistake again." Under the canopy of stars, with Edinburgh glittering below and Lily dreaming nearby, Imogen made her choice. It wasn't about wealth or status or different worlds colliding. It was about a man who had learned that vulnerability was strength, a woman who had never stopped believing in possibilities, and a child who saw dragons where others saw only strangers. "Yes," she said simply. Their kiss beneath the stars wasn't an ending, but a beginning, a new constellation forming in the vast universe of possibility. Behind them, Lily stirred just enough to see them embrace, smiling sleepily at her handiwork before drifting back to dreams of dragons, princesses, and stars that sang stories of their own.